What are the benefits of magnesium? In this video, we're going to cover my personal experience using magnesium, as well as diving deep in some scientific studies as to what magnesium is good for. So I like to share about things that come from my own personal experience, and I've been utilizing magnesium supplementation as well as eating high magnesium foods now very intentionally for a few years. And the most notable shifts that I found relate to recovery is really kind of the blanket statement of what all my experiences have come to. That comes to recovery of sleep, muscle recovery, how fast I bounce back from a workout the next day. I tend not to be as sore if I consume magnesium before bed. I find I sometimes have better dreams if I take magnesium before bed. Essentially, is getting our body into that parasympathetic nervous system, and it's helping to rest and repair. So that's the most common experience I've had, as well as friends that I know that have used it as well. Now, I actually have had a friend who used to have restless legs at night. And I actually heard this again the other day of somebody who had restless legs. They said they were actually kicking their husband. And he was the one that noticed that when she started taking magnesium, that the side effects of the restless legs went down because it wasn't getting kicked in the middle of the night. My other friend were having cramps, a lot of different things we can recognize that happen at night. And these can really help with that rest and recovery. A lot of people are depleted in magnesium, and that's why it's important in the first place. From a soil science perspective, our soils are incredibly depleted of magnesium. I think it's like upwards of 85% of Americans are depleted in magnesium because we're not getting it from our diet anymore. And while I typically recommend that you can do just about everything from living a healthy, holistic lifestyle, magnesium is definitely one of those supplements that I really encourage people to take because we just are so depleted, and it is very difficult nowadays to get it from our diet. So let's dive into this article I found that highlights some of the great benefits of magnesium. And so this is from the article, Medical News Today. Why do we need magnesium? So this is where I'm going to be referencing a lot of things just because I've done a bunch of research. I feel like this one does a pretty good job of encompassing a lot of things that I've found from a variety of different sources. And this kind of just brings it all home. So you can see here, magnesium is an important mineral playing a role in over 300 enzyme reactions in the human body. Its many functions include helping with muscle and nerve function, regulating blood pressure, and supporting the immune system. So we can see here, I'm just going to skip down to many of the main benefits, but as it says in this article as well, many people in the United States do not get enough magnesium in their diet, though deficiency symptoms are uncommon in otherwise healthy people. So doctors link magnesium deficiency with a wide range of health complications, so people should aim to meet their daily recommended levels of magnesium. So this is something that I think is really, really a challenge for a lot of people. It's one of the 7 essential macro minerals, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to keep going down here. But you see, getting enough of this mineral can help prevent and treat chronic diseases, including Alzheimer's disease, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and migraine. So as we keep going down, we look at bone health. Now, bone health is something, like I was saying, in terms of rest and recovery, it's going to help with, the recovery, the repair of our bones, increasing higher bone density, reducing the risk of osteoporosis, many other things. Helps to regulate calcium and vitamin D levels. So this is where everything starts to work together. And where I mentioned the term holistic health is how all these integral parts work together. So if you're getting proper calcium, you're getting proper vitamin D, and you're getting proper magnesium, those are going to work symbiotically together. So we want to make sure that we are well-rounded in our wellness approach. Number 2, moving on here, diabetes. Research has linked high magnesium diets with a lower risk for type 2 diabetes. This may be because magnesium plays an important role in glucose control and insulin metabolism. Again, I will link this article in the description as well. So if you do want to go back and read this yourself, I just want to hit on the key points, save you a little bit of time so you're not having to read everything verbatim, and kind of get my health coach perspective on this as well. Cardiovascular health, you can see all these things here. The authors observed that magnesium deficiency is common in people with congestive heart failure and can worsen their clinical outcomes. People who receive magnesium soon after a heart attack have a lower risk of mortality. Doctors sometimes use magnesium during treatment for congestive heart failure to reduce the risk of arrhythmia or abnormal heart rhythm. So this is really important to note that as heart disease is it may still be the leading killer in the United States at this point in time in 2022. If we have something that can help to prevent the mortality rate of heart disease, I think is an incredibly essential mineral that we should be focusing on. So according to 2019 meta study, increasing magnesium intake may lower a person's risk of stroke. This is 100 milligrams per day, increasing magnesium. The risk of stroke reduced by 2%. So you figure 1 out of every 50 people, if they start taking magnesium, they're going to be safe from that. So that's kind of a big deal. And it may not seem like 2% is a lot, but if you can stop 2% of the population from dying of heart disease, and if that's in the millions, we're talking about tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people being saved, definitely hundreds of thousands of people being saved by something so simple. So we'll keep going on here. Migraine headaches. Now, this is something that is also incredibly common. I know my mom, for much of her life, has had a real tough time with migraine headaches. She's been getting a lot better over the past few years as we have been improving the overall quality of her health and wellness. But at times, it can be tough, and having magnesium, I do find it can be very helpful for headaches alongside that. So the American Migraine Foundation report that people who frequently use doses of 400 to 500 milligrams per day for migraine prevention, and 400 to 500 milligrams is definitely a pretty significant amount, which is good. Sometimes it's good to do a mega dose when we are so depleted to kind of restore those magnesium storage. And I will share at the end some of my favorite ways to get magnesium through foods and through supplementation. So stick around to the end for those. Now, moving on here, number 5, premenstrual syndrome. We can see that this is going to be helpful for PMS. Moving down to anxiety. Magnesium levels play a role in mood disorders, including depression and anxiety. After a systematic review in 2017, low magnesium levels have been linked with higher levels of anxiety. This is partly due to activity in the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal HPA axis, which is a set of 3 glands that control a person's reaction to stress. So a lot of people kind of look at magnesium as the stress hormone or the stress mineral, as in it helps us fight stress. So if you're feeling any sort of stress in the body, and stress can come in the form of anxiety, depression, like mentioned, or just feeling stressed and wired and tired, this is a great way to help get that body back to balance in the parasympathetic state. And like I said in the beginning, help with that rest and recovery. And so we look here at the recommended daily intakes of magnesium, and this, you're going to find different numbers on all of these depending on which study you're using. So remember that science is great and studies are great, but we want to look at, what is the outcome of the studies? Who is making the studies? What are their goals? What are their intentions? And just kind of balancing that from a different perspective, not taking every study as law or as, the rule that we have to follow. So thinking about that, if we take a look at these numbers, this can be a guideline. I think it's going to be good to get a little bit more than that. That does look pretty low, especially on the female side. And it is interesting if you note that it looks like for males, it does increase over time, which for females, it seems like it peaks right around 14 to 18, which I would imagine is because of puberty. So that's an interesting thing as well. But I personally think that we could all use a little bit more. I just think it's so essential. And this is probably looking at the minimal effective dose as opposed to the optimal dose. So now we get into sources of magnesium. So we can see here, there are some foods, almonds, they say, per 80 milligram, you're going to get 20% of your daily value. And again, these are assumed off of these numbers. So that 20% could completely change depending on what age group, what gender you are, your lifestyle, all these other things. So just being mindful of that when you see somebody says estimated daily value or percentage daily value, that's not always for you. That's based on a 2,000 calorie diet and an average human being. And that's going to change depending on your health and lifestyle, as I mentioned. So here's some good ones, almonds, spinach, roasted cashews, and highly recommend, got to go with all these organic, because if not, you're just getting tons of chemicals in there, and they probably don't have as much of the minerals as you think. Because a lot of times then when they say almonds, they're assuming all almonds have the same amount. They basically come to agreement that almonds have this amount of magnesium, this amount of selenium, this amount of protein, whatever, without any variation between the quality of the food and how it was grown. It's just a blanket statement number. So again, this is a guideline, not a law. And I'm not a big fan of taking a ton of peanuts. I definitely don't say drink soy or, wheat bread. We don't want to do any of those type of things. So just definitely not cereals. Want to just be mindful of those type of things. But this is a general guide that we can start with in terms of foods. Now, like I mentioned, I do have my own favorite products that I've used myself. And the first is Magnesium Breakthrough by Optimizers, and they actually do have a new bottle now. I have the old one, so it does look a little bit different, but I will put the link in the description box as well. And this is the only magnesium on the market that has all 7 forms of magnesium. So that's also something very important to recognize when we're talking about getting benefits from magnesium, is the type of magnesium you're utilizing. Because you can see on here, there are a bunch of different forms of magnesium. And so that's going to determine what they all do. And so that's what I like about this by Optimizers brand, is that they have all the 7 forms. So some people say they've taken magnesium in the past, they don't see many results, and maybe it's because you bought something that only has 1 strain of magnesium. And that's where you can get magnesium supplements real cheap. I don't even know how much, but very cheap for a bottle of magnesium. But if you're only getting 1 form, you'd have to buy basically 7 bottles to get all the different forms. So actually the intention behind why they did this, they made this product. I actually have an interview with both of the founders, Wade Lightheart and Matt Gallant, who I will put the links into those podcasts as well in the description box here. But by Optimizers, if you go to byoptimizers.com or check out the link in the description, use the discount code WHOLEHEALTH, you'll save 10% off your order. So that's one of my favorites. The other one is just utilizing mineral drops like the ionic elements from Purium. These are great because you can put that right into your water, and you're going to get some essential minerals in there, magnesium as well as some other minerals. So those are some great ways to get in some benefits of magnesium in a very simple and effective way through supplementation and through your food. And so to recap, kind of going over some of these benefits that we've really gleaned from our video here, is bone health, support with diabetes, cardiovascular health, migraines, PMS, anxiety, sleep, and muscle recovery. I'm sure there's a whole heck of a lot more. I'd love to hear, what have you enjoyed from utilizing magnesium? Have you used it before? What have you seen? Please share in the comments below what benefits you've gotten from magnesium. If you found this video to be helpful, would love for you to hit that like button. It helps with the algorithm to help more of these videos get published and brought out to the masses. Please do subscribe to the channel. See all the latest. I do videos every single week at Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and podcasts at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mondays. And sometimes I throw in some surprise videos here and there. So to be notified, make sure you're subscribed, hit that little bell so you get the notifications. And until then, I appreciate you watching. Hope this helped, and I'll see you soon.